everybody, and welcome to this special on the new moon annular solar eclipse in Virgo that happens at 7:45 p.m. to 7:50 p.m. GMT time. So I guess it's around 3 a.m. 3 p.m. in some sides of the states or whatever. But yeah, all placements that I give interpretation is based on Vedic constellational astrology, and my name's Amani. I'm your holistic karmic astrologer. If you like my content, please like it, at least please subscribe and drop me a comment. And yeah, I'm going to jump right into it now. So the new moon annual solar eclipse in Virgo is special because it conjuncts the moon's south node, and the lunar eclipse that just happened in September conjunct the moon's north node. So as you can see, you know, it's sort of like mirroring energy, and the lunar eclipse was in Pisces and the solar eclipse in Virgo. So yeah, when it is the solar eclipse, the moon, the sun, Mercury and Venus are all in the 6th house, but Venus is in Libra, whereas the sun, Mercury and the moon are in Virgo, and the moon's north node is in the 12th house, and Neptune and Chiron are also in the 12th house in Pisces, but they don't make a direct opposition to, you know, the moon and the sun and Mercury, but the moon's north node does. So like the moon's north node is opposing the moon's south node, and because Mercury, the sun and the moon are conjunct each other, so you know they are also opposing the moon's north node. And now that I've over explained that, I will go more into it. So yeah, if you already know what a solar eclipse is, skip about 2 minutes. If not, listen. So solar eclipses happen when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, and this casts a shadow on the earth's surface, and this happens about twice a year, and we had them in, I think it was April, March, but yeah, so it's happened twice this year, basically, is what I'm saying. So solar eclipses are not visible from every location on Earth. Mainly, you know, people in the States, Mexico and Canada get to see lunar and solar eclipses in their full sort of like beauty, but all of us experience the energies vibrationally. So an annular solar eclipse, which this one is, happens when the moon passes directly between the earth and the sun, but it doesn't block the sun's light entirely like we see at the time of like a total eclipse. Instead, the moon appears smaller than the sun, creating like a ring of light or fire around it. And if you're into Johnny Cash, there's a great song about it. But yeah. So the reason why, you know, the moon doesn't block out the sun's light is because at the time of an annual eclipse, the moon is at a further distance from the earth. So this just makes the moon look smaller, and this is what creates that ring and stuff. So astrologically, the solar eclipse new moon in Virgo gives us a chance to have powerful moments of self-reflection, healing, release, and being practical. You know, taking practical steps. So, you know, we may research, you may have done research already this year, you know, or you may be very knowledgeable. Anyway, this is all about putting that into practice. Virgo energy is associated with perfectionism, being analytical, thinking before we do things, self-improvement and personal hygiene. So a lot of us can be really focused on sort of like refining our work and other routines, our eating routines, our hygiene routines during the time of this solar eclipse. And this energy is going to last us right up into the next solar eclipse, which is in 2025 around March 29th. I think it is March 29th. But yeah, back to this solar eclipse. So the sun in astrology represents our vitality. The moon represents our emotions, our inner self, you know, the self we brought over from past lives. Mercury represents our communication and intelligence on the personal level. Also, you know, short distance travel, interactions with our neighbours and people we live with and colleagues and stuff like that. And the south node represents our karmic karmic past, of our past lives, or unresolved psychological, emotional, spiritual traumas that we have yet to deal with in this life. So the detail-oriented sign of Virgo amplifies the themes of healing, purification, gaining mental clarity by thinking, symbolising a potent moment for self-examination and growth. So ultimately, as the Sun, Moon, Mercury and Sun are aligned in Virgo, it calls for us to declutter our mind, release outdated thought patterns, and to go within ourselves and assess our inner dialogue, our self-talk, the way we talk to ourselves, because often this is the way we talk to others, and really listening to that subconscious mind, just paying attention. What does it say to you? They say we have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. What are your thoughts saying? Are they enriching your life? Are they depleting your energy? A lot of the time, we don't break through in the things we want to do because consciously we may say something like, I want a better life for myself, but our subconscious belief can be, I don't deserve better. And the reasons you don't deserve better could be because of unresolved childhood trauma or psychological emotional baggage. Maybe there's a heartbreak, maybe you feel guilty, maybe you won't forgive someone, maybe you want revenge, maybe you're bitter and stuff like that. So just really getting deep into your mind and looking what needs healing so you can provide a better life for yourself. So some of you may find yourself revisiting past relationships or situations that still carry unresolved issues or emotional weight. And the Moon and the Sun are in the 16th degree of Virgo, and this has the Sabian symbology of children crowding around orangutan cage in the zoo. So this imagery kind of invokes curiosity, innocent, wanting us to really observe and learn in this period, just looking at the world with openness and being open to fresh perspectives, like a child, just like a child, especially a toddler, wants to be in everything, and us humans have to be, no, don't touch that, that's dangerous. So, maybe you've been hurt before in a heartbreak, maybe you've given up hope in people. It's easy to do, I've been there myself. But I found as I, did shadow work and inner work and start to accept myself and my own internal darkness, because a lot of the time we can project all our, I don't want to call them weaknesses, but all of our dark stuff out onto others. And I'm not saying they're not in others as well, but once we know ourselves, then we can accept others more easier, and not only that, we can be more intentional about our relationships, because what I have found about our relationships is sometimes because we don't enter them intentionally, we assume, we don't question. A lot of couples have been together for years, even decades, and never had real conversations. Try dating me now. But sorry, that's just how I got it, because I am very big on communication. If I can't communicate with someone, then it's not going to work, so, but a lot of the time you get caught up in loss and just thinking about the outer, the external, she's heart, their heart, his heart sort of thing, So this energy calls for us to just sort of look at things from a new perspective, especially when it comes to statements that we've made around love, like, I'll never trust someone again. Well, I found that now that I trust myself, I can trust others, because I trust myself to use my judgment on whether someone is trustworthy or not. So, it's about reframing what you think about trust and what you think about yourself and what you think about the world. So if we allow ourselves to be curious and seek new insights and understanding, pay attention to details that we may have overlooked before, and be more analytical in our approach to going after our goals and desires, and being more realistic and intentional about our lives, and just being, curious, just as children at the zoo or children in play. But in this scenario, the children are observing their orangutan with wonder. We are encouraged to look at our own life and circumstances with fresh eyes, being ready to learn and grow from our experiences. So ultimately, the 16th degree of Virgo pushes us to confront our problems, especially especially in our relationships, with more of a discerning eye, you know, being critical without being overly critical, because sometimes Virgo energy can just make us nitpick and pick everything apart, you know, and this can just cause more tension in our relationships or confusion within ourselves. Just, pay attention to detail, but also have empathy for yourself and others, but also, have a willingness to make the necessary changes that you may find that you need to make in order to improve your relationships or to have better relationships. And some of you may have to end the relationship or rethink your relationship with yourself, because a lot of the time we don't become our own best friend. And this doesn't mean we can't have our parents as a best friend, or a sibling, or someone else, or our lover as a best friend. But I find when we have this relationship with ourselves, then we can understand how hard relationships actually are, because they are hard. So sometimes and how hard it can be for us to understand our own selves as individuals. But then we get into relationships and expect other people to just understand us off the bat without truly understanding ourselves. So it's about finding your own needs, and so you can kind of be upfront about what your needs are to your friends, to your parents and your lovers. And also be aware that a lot of the times people can't meet our needs, and this is why sometimes things have to end so we can, go out there and create sometimes even the family we wanted for ourselves, because everybody evolves at their own pace. So the wisdom of the orangutan reminds us to trust our instincts, connect with our primal knowledge, which can help us, understand ourselves and others on a deeper level, and also understand your life path and the things you need to do to meet your goals and aims, and just be open to the wonders that surround you, being ready to explore new possibilities and embrace the magic of new beginnings. So in short, when the moon, the sun and Mercury in the south node conjunct at the time of this solar annular new moon eclipse in Virgo, it wants us to release old habits, especially our toxic thoughts and self-destructive ways of relating to ourselves. So really digging into that subconscious mind and thinking about the thoughts there, because our thoughts drive our actions whether we are aware of it or not. And just looking at the attachments to maybe outdated opinions, or anything else that no longer serves your highest good or your desired intentions. So if you're prepared to dig deep into your subconscious thoughts and your behavior and communication patterns and past experience, and doing this can help you start or continue your lifelong journey of healing and transformation, allowing yourself to let go of past baggage that gets in the way of your progress, that gets in the way of your new, because a lot of the time it's because of our attachment to the past why we can't live in the now and create our future. So because this is a solar eclipse, I'm going to talk about the decans that the sun and the moon, the south node and the Mercury are in. So they're all in the second decan of Virgo, because the sun and the moon are at the 16th degree of Virgo, the south node at the 13th, and Mercury's at the 18th. And I'm going to go more into the Sabin analysis as we go deeper into this. So as I said, the moon, sun, Mercury and the south node are in the second decan of Virgo, which is the Virgo Capricorn or Mercury Saturn decanate. So this decan empowers us to take charge of our lives and become, skillful administrators, managers, leaders over our lives, not being afraid to take personal responsibility, giving us a chance to become super organized, even if you're the most disorganized person. Just let the Saturn nature of this decan, work on you, as I have allowed the Saturn energy in my natal chart to work on me, and being someone who didn't like routine, I understand the importance of it. Without routine, without a bit of order, even creative order, even if we're spontaneous, even if we do the same things that we do each day but at different times of the day to keep it fresh, I like to do that. We like to mix it up, but there still have to be some sort of order there, and this is how we achieve our goals. But enough of the lecture, back to the analysis. So It allows us to look at our habits and our relationships and our thoughts with more of a critical but loving eye, but also getting real, taking action when needed, starting or continuing to improve, our lives. So yeah, it gives us great powers of concentration, focus and determination, and it just supports us in finding psychological, emotional and spiritual clarity and balance if we look for it and we start to implement it in our life, and we take the daily steps to continue bringing new habits, not focusing so much, because I used to focus so much on I'm still doing this and that. No, just keep on focusing on doing the new stuff, and when you do the new positive things, your old habits will fall away because you're building these new things. Allowing yourself to fail many times and getting up after each failure is the way to guarantee your success. So also, the second decan energy of Virgo is good for all types of research, technical, scientifical, scientific, mechanical and engineering. I will learn to speak one day, engineering work, and it just gives us the ability to pay attention to the small details and be extremely patient with ourselves and others, and we may, as I said, it supports us in being able to, become more productive, stick to or create routines and be ethical in our words and actions. It adds a very practical vibration to this solar eclipse, so just allowing us to take profound, spiritual or any other concepts, and understand them and apply them in a practical way to our day-to-day life. So now I'm going to talk about the opposition that the moon, the sun and Mercury and the moon's south node is making to the moon's north node in Pisces in the 12th house, and the moon, the sun and Mercury and the moon's south node are in the 6th house, and Venus is also in the 6th house in Libra, and Chiron and Neptune are also in the 12th house, as I said in the intro, but they're not making a direct opposition, but they are part of this opposition. So as I said, the moon represents our emotions, our intuition and the subconscious mind, and the traits we brought over from our past lives, or that the fates of the bestowed upon us, So during this eclipse, the opposition of the moon's north node to the moon and Mercury and the sun brings increased focus on our spiritual growth and karmic evolution, really wanting us to look at our past and see what's holding us back, because a lot of us get to late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond and still have baggage, and it's because we never heal the inner child, and we can feel silly once we, get into our 20s and 30s about doing childish things. A lot of us are like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't take my socks off and feel the sand between my feet, or colour like a wood as a child, or, some of our childhood dreams, I'm not going to lie, were, and I wouldn't say unrealistic, I would say we need to reframe them, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. Like, you may have wanted the pop star. All of us can't be a pop star, but what you can do is be, the pop star of your own life, and you can practice, you can play the instrument still, you can play to a small crowd, you may not, you can find your niche, you may not, become a multi-selling pop star if that was your dream, or astronaut now, but you get a telescope and look at the stars and learn all about the stars, and, maybe one day, save up and take yourself to space if that's what you really want to do, and while you're there pretend you're an astronaut. So it's all about reframing your childhood dreams, and really connecting with the inner child. Even though it may seem silly, I totally recommend it, because a lot of the times we can't get the love and attention or whatever it is from the people or our parents. We have to give it to ourselves, and that the inner child needs you to tell it that it's okay, that maybe it did its best that it could do as a child, because a lot of the times we may regret that we didn't stand up for ourselves, or we didn't say this or that. So you could do like a role play where you play the role of say if you had had a breakup that you didn't like. You could play the role of you and your ex and say the things you wanted to say if they won't give you closure. And a lot of this may just seem nonsensical, but trust me, it really, really helps. And I believe as long as it's healthy and it helps you become more emotional, psychological and spiritually balanced, then if it makes you look silly, then do it, because after all, we're doing it alone in our own bedrooms or our homes and that, or you can find the space, or you can do it in your inner world. So karmically, it wants us to release our past patterns that are holding us back and embrace new beginnings that align with our, higher consciousness or our soul's purpose. And the moon south node in Pisces, shows that we have a tendency to cling to our comfort zones, especially from our past lives or our comfort habits, the 12th house and energy, the moon's north node in Pisces, or escaping into drugs or alcohol or, other intoxicating substances or people, but it just really urges us to let go of our limited beliefs and behaviours. And Venus in Libra, being in the 6th house, gives that energy that we need to bring more harmony into our relationships and more balance in our daily routines. It encourages us to find joy and beauty in our work environment, in our health practices, exercising, eating right, looking after our personal hygiene. A lot of the time we don't, we're horrible to ourselves. Like, we say, oh, well, no one will give me a massage, whatever. Well, we can massage our hands, massage our feet, our ears, ourselves. And a lot of the time we neglect these areas of our body and stuff. So just being gentle and being more sensual with yourself, because Venus, is a very sensual energy as well. So yeah, love on yourself and take some time out to bring yourself in balance. The sun represents the core of our essential self, our vitality and our ego. So when this aligns with Mercury, the planet of communication and intellect, it can increase our mental clarity and self-expression. And with Neptune and Chiron in Pisces in the 12th house, it adds a layer of sensitivity, compassion and healing energy. So Neptune supports us being more intuitive, helps us be more spiritual in our insights and be open to guidance. But I'm a purporter of always doing it a grounded way. We have to be careful when exploring the psychic realms and opening ourselves up to these energies, because when we do it when we're not emotionally stable, we can't discern, because our guides or our intuitions, especially when we've still got a lot of fear and anxiety and depression, stuff I've struggled with and have learned to manage, we can, we have to be careful on the guidance we receive, because just like over here, right, we've all got friends and, we may have a friend that may give us some advice, but it may not be good advice. But because it's coming from the psychic realm and we're getting this advice, this doesn't mean it's automatically the best advice of us. This is why I say, whether you're listening to me or any other videos you listen to, the ultimate goal of you consuming all this content, whether you're listening to it online on YouTube or Spotify or wherever, is so you can gain mastery over your thoughts and your life and your emotions and your psychology, not so you can make anything external your master. Because when we place our faith in the external to guide us, this is when we can get lost. Because what if our spiritual teacher leaves the earth plane? What if our lover leaves us? What if we lose our job? So it's important to gain security from within. So overall, these planetary alignments of the moon, the sun, Mercury and Venus being in the 6th house and Neptune, Chiron and the moon's north node being in the 12th house invite us to dig deep into our subconscious mind and our secrets and, our hidden enemies, which are often, people, but also, our own self-destructive thoughts and toxic ways of relating to ourselves and others. It wants us to embrace new paths and align with our higher selves, and it just supports us in self-reflection and in our growth and spiritual awakening, which can lead to, really profound personal evolution and healing for a lot of you if you use this energy practically. So now I'm just going to talk more in depth about, the practicalities, the political meanings and all of that good stuff of this solar eclipse new moon in Virgo. So yeah. So as I said, practically it wants us to organise, declutter and set intentions and bring more order and routine and harmony into all areas of our life that need it. And by organising our surroundings, we can create a supportive environment that promotes clarity and focus. So yeah, tidy your room, your home, your workspace, whatever, but also your inner environment. Because what we think inside really, dictates how we take in the external world, how we process it, how we allow it to affect us and stuff. And yes, some things are outside of our control. The only thing we can actually control is how we react to things, and how we think about things. So it seems as these are the only things we can control. It's important that we do. So yeah, we can take time to reflect on our goals and desires and to think about what we want from our future and how we can align our actions and thoughts with our goals, and just taking, day-to-day steps to manifest our dreams and create more of a positive change in our lives. And we don't need to think positive all the time. Remember, feelings go up and down. Think of, how can I explain it? Think of a roller coaster, right? Vibrations, frequencies oscillate. If you think about your favourite song, there's maybe a bit where the singer sings high, then the singer lower. So don't beat yourself up by thinking, oh, I have to think positive all the time. No, we have to just find a way to transform the negative into positive, or even understand it. Some things we can't get over, I'm not going to lie, but we can learn to live with them in a better way. And as we, learn to live with them, the ways that we are triggered change. So, I'm just giving you practical advice because, that's how I think anyway, holistically. But this is a very practical solar eclipse energy. So yeah, on the worldly, materialistic and financial levels, it wants us to, take a closer look at our financial goals and develop an effective strategies for managing our resources. So it's great for budgeting, tracking your expenses and looking at where you may need to adjust your spending or increase your earning and how you can do it, and not thinking you're going to do it all in one day, just taking those practical steps to get there. Remember, practicality is the key word of this solar eclipse. So yeah, it also wants us to look at our career progress and are we achieving our career goals? Do we need to learn some more skills? How can we become more efficient in our work and our finances and using, our work energy? Are you getting enough money? Are you staying in a position because you think, hey, everyone's already doing podcasts or content? No. As I would say, even me as an astrologer, if you're into astrology out there and you're thinking, I want to do an astrology podcast, do it, because everyone will find their niche. We can't all serve everyone, especially if we're working in the right ways, and as a karmic astrologer, I go in depth and I really pride myself on, wanting to help my clients achieve goals. This is why if I feel like someone just wants a surface reading, I'll send them to another astrologer, because the way that I like to work, I like to dig deep, and just in case you haven't noticed, hence all of these long specials are there. So yeah. So it wants us to take proactive steps towards our career and financial advancement and, make informed decisions, about our finances and just be more confident about our financial goals and being realistic about the time it may take us to get there. Because what I found a lot of time, we give ourselves unrealistic targets, or we say we don't have enough time, you know. But sometimes, you know, if you've only got 5 minutes to meditate, take that 5 minutes to meditate. Take that minute. There's no excuse for that 30 seconds, you know. If it's the fact that you can only meditate when you're on the toilet, you know, because that's the only place you can get peace and quiet in your household, then you do it there, you know. It's all about tailoring these tools to your sort of like temperament and lifestyle and stuff, but without also making excuses and not just sticking in your comfort zone. So on the social collective level, it's about creating community, supporting others, and, you know, cultivating, creating relationships, or, you know, deepening them or repairing relationships. So, you know, this new moon solar eclipse brings an increased focus on the power of coming together and building connections with those around us. It asks us to look for opportunities for working with others, and, you know, to carry out acts of kindness in a non-toxic way, because sometimes, you know, people can drain your energy and all of that. And remember, you know, we can't safely give to others without filling our own cup, without looking after our own emotional, spiritual and psychological needs first. So it can also just make us have a sense of belonging, you know, within our communities, within our relationships, families at this time. And it calls for us to prioritise social interactions at this time. So repairing relationships, or just doing things with friends, family and acquaintances that make you and them feel happy. And sometimes, you know, you may just be the listening ear to someone, or they may listen to you, or, you know, just helping each other. And if we are, you know, if we are willing to work with others, this can create a supportive network that can increase our overall well-being, and also it helps us contribute to others, to give back to others. Also, this solar eclipse may push governments to focus on improving healthcare systems, implementing sort of like regulations for safer working conditions, and increasing social welfare programs. And we may find ourselves more inspired to address issues related to public health, employment rights and community well-being. So some governments may come up with incentives, you know, to improve healthcare and provide better access to medical services for all citizens. And some may, you know, make changes to working laws, labour laws, to ensure fair treatment of workers and promote job security and all of that. You know, this is a real practical energy of, you know, getting down to what we need to do to solve our individual and community and national sort of like problems. So the Sabin symbol, you know, as I said, it wants us to be more curious and embrace our joy and reconnect with our inner child. And it reminds us of the importance of approaching life with a sense of wonder and light-heartedness, and it encourages us to let go of our inhibitions and embrace the simple joys and pleasures that can be found in everyday experiences, like exercising each day, or meditating, you know, brushing your teeth, having a wash, cooking your dinner, eating your dinner, appreciating your partner, spending time with your children, doing your ironing, doing your hoovering, you know, the simple things, just hearing the bell sing, seeing the sunrise, seeing the sunset, seeing the moon, you know, seeing the stars, just pleasure in the simple things in life. And it just, like I said, it's a gentle reminder not to take life too seriously, and remember that joy and innocence is within you, because sometimes I've seen that a lot of people get so disconnected from who they are. And as I said, this world is very good at taking away hope, so I get it, you know. But when we, as I said, reframe our minds and, you know, realise that we can bring happiness within ourselves, even if our external is rubbish. And this doesn't mean like just pretending that everything's great. No, it's not about that. It's about, you know, dancing in the rain, you know. So yeah, psychologically, the imagery of the children around the Randakang cage calls for us to examine our primal instincts and basic desires. A lot of the time, you know, desire is not a bad thing, but a lot of the times, you know, if we excessive desires can be, you know, if we take drugs excessively, engage in risky sexual behaviours excessively, overindulge in toxic relationships and drugs and anything else that's toxic to us, because we've all got different limits. This can wreak havoc in all areas of our life, like our careers, our relationships and stuff. So we just need to look at our desires and our instincts and see how we can meet the needs of these in healthy ways, taking time to confront our raw emotions and our subconscious patterns and our instinctive drives, and it highlights the importance of acknowledging and integrating all aspects of ourselves, our lower self, our higher self, our sexual drive, our motivational drives, our need for balance, our need for routine, our need for spontaneous things to happen, looking at our strengths and weaknesses and integrating that, our shadow side, our light side, the side of us like, yay, everything's great, and the side of us that's a bit of a doomer and thinks all people may be a-holes and stuff, so yeah. It wants us to especially look at the sides of ourselves that we hide from or overlook or repress ourselves from, with the view of learning how we can channel that energy and acknowledge these weaknesses or our dark side of our personality and embrace them. Because a lot of the times, when we repress these things, they come out in other ways and in uncontrolled ways that can damage our reputation and relationships and stuff. So it's really important to, know yourself and accept yourself and all levels for, good or bad, strengths and weaknesses. Symbolically, it represents the solar eclipse, a powerful moment of change and new beginnings. Just as the moon covers the sun during an eclipse, it symbolises a temporary pause or reset in our life, and it pushes us to reflect on what no longer serves us and embrace fresh opportunities that come our way. And spiritually and esoterically, it encourages us, as I said, to self-reflect, go within, look at our habits to heal. Virgo's energies associated with position, organisation and self-improvement and, working to achieve what we need to achieve. So it's a good energy to refine our habits and routines and goals with. So now I'm going to talk more about the aspects that are affecting this solar eclipse new moon in the 16th degree of Virgo that happens on the 2nd of October. So the moon and the sun makes a conjunction to Mercury, and this is at a 1.330 applying, so it's a strong influence here of the moon and the sun all conjuncting. So as I said earlier, it increases our ability to express ourselves clearly and effectively. So it's a good energy to use for discussing things with other people, especially discussions that we may have been shying away from. And we've got Venus there in the 6th house bringing us that balance. It's a great energy to negotiate and share ideas with others, as it stimulates our curiosity for learning and encourages us to seek new knowledge and expand our mental horizons on our life, but negatively we can overthink, and this can cause anxiety, and we can have communication misunderstandings due to the lack of clarity, not asking the right questions, making assumptions. So it's important to find the balance between expressing ourselves and listening to others right now, as well as checking the facts. And the moon and the sun make a semi-sextile to Venus, so this is at 1.44 applying, so quite a still strong energy, and it puts a spotlight on love, beauty and creativity. So it just helps us to bring more balance into our relationships and appreciate the finer things in life. So it's good for all of you that likes to be a bit bougie, put a bit of luxury in your life, and it doesn't need to be flash, it could just be, making yourself a meal from scratch instead of buying a microwave one, or getting one from, from outside, from deliveries or whatever. It also helps us to cooperate with others and ourselves and express our emotions and our feelings in a warm and affectionate manner. But negatively, it can make us too reliant on external products and people for validation and happiness, and just overdoing it, overspending and stuff like that, just because we're running away, and trying to avoid the introspection, going deep into our emotions that this energy is pushing us to do. So striving for a healthy balance of self-love and the love and support of others is really good as well. It's the best use of this energy, actually. But yeah, the moon and the sun also makes a square to Mars, and this is 5.44 applying, so it's fading out, it's about to become separated, but it still gives us that power to be more motivated and more assertive, but it can create, tension and conflict, because we can be impatient and impulsive, and this can make us more aggressive in our words and actions right now. So it's important to be mindful of this energy at the time of this solar eclipse, and the best use of this energy is to find healthy ways of expressing your assertiveness, respecting other people's, boundaries, and we can become kind of like ambitious, really wanting to go and get and reach those targets. So doing that in the right ways as well, so we don't become too annoying and isolate other people as well. And if we've made prior plans, maybe date night, and we decided that maybe we want to work on our routine, our exercise or healthy eating routine, instead of just blowing your partner out or your friends out, cancelling things, or not cancelling things, just ignoring people, just try and explain by saying things like, I know I said I'll do this, but no, I need some time out right now. It's best to channel this Mars energy productively to avoid unnecessary conflicts, finding a balance between being assertive and sensitive to yourself and others. The moon and the sun makes a sextile square to Uranus, and this is 1.50 applying. So this adds, Uranus energy always brings unexpected events and sudden changes. So there can be, events that happen that may challenge our sense of emotional, financial or spiritual or psychological or physical stability right now. And this can disrupt our sense of security, and we may feel restless as well, because we can have a desire for freedom and independence. So again, as I said earlier, we may just be like, I don't want to do date night tonight, and this is fine, sometimes. Well, it's the ways that we go about cancelling things that we've already said that we do, or asking for space, because we don't want to create new problems. So yeah, although, this is a great energy to push us into change and opening us up to new possibilities, it also adds to the instability, and it can just make us feel nervous within ourselves and answers, because we can feel that we may want to end a relationship. So I believe we always know what we need to let go of after we come to a certain age, at least, or, but, at the time it's about being scared or to change, or how will people act if I say this or that. So it's important to be flexible at this time, be open to confronting uncomfortable truths and situations and, discussions, and, embrace, new ways of looking at your problems and find innovative solutions to them. And this is how we can use this energy to push us to great personal growth. The moon and the sun makes an opposition to the moon's north node, and this is separating at 3.45 degrees, as I said earlier. So again, on a deeper level, it highlights the tension between our emotional needs and our soul's evolutionary path, and it indicates, that we have a conflict, or we have to find a balancing act between our past habits and patterns, which is represented by the moon, and our future growth and destiny, which is represented by the north node. And it sort of like, pushes us sometimes unexpectedly, especially if we try and run away from it, into facing our challenges and in aligning our emotions with our soul's purpose, because emotions aren't the bad things, because they're letting us know that there's problems in our life. It's when we repress them, when we push them, when we numb ourselves to them with drugs and alcohol and toxic relationships and all the other ways, Netflix and chilling and whatever, all the other ways we distract ourselves, So it really wants us to use emotions to our advantage. So as someone who has been working and doing this at a time, it's about, sometimes we can have irrational beliefs, so it's about, when a thought comes up like, you're always going to be a failure or something like that, be like, well, even if, you've in the past you've probably failed at things, you can question it, well, because a lot of time it's like, well, you failed that time, so don't try again. But you can reframe that. You can be like, yeah, I failed that time when I attempted to implement a new exercise regime into my life because I tried to take on too much. I was one for that. I found my pattern was that I would do too much for 2-3 weeks, burn myself out, then, start for about any time for 6 to 12 weeks and then start again. And I was in that loop for years. I'm not the same to me. But what I've decided to do is to do it step by step. And actually, if I'm doing, 10 squats and then my energy level's like, wow, you could really do 30, but I just make myself do the 10, making myself sort of like looking forward to doing 10 tomorrow. It's about finding out how you work and getting your emotions to work for you. So it wants us to sort of like, have some sort of self-realization to go within and recognize our sort of like patterns and learn from our failures and heartbreaks and setbacks of our past, so we can align ourselves and make, conscious choices that support our, highest potential, the things that we really say we want to do in life. It reminds us also to stay open to new perspectives and to trust in the intuitive guidance that comes up at this time. Also, there's a seesaw, this chart, the pattern that this, of the major planets is a seesaw, what we call the seesaw pattern in astrology. Seesaw patterns happens when most of all the planets are spread equally across both sides of the chart, So at the time of this new moon, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, the North Node and Uranus are spread across the 11th, 12th and 1st houses, and Venus, Mercury, and the Sun and the Moon and the South Node are in the 6th house. We've got Mars in the 3rd house, and Saturn's in the 10th house, but it's still spread across the 10th, 11th and the 12th and the 1st houses and the 6th house, and then we've got Mars in the 3rd house. So this pattern reminds us that, it being the seesaw, and I've talked a lot about seeking equilibrium and balance and harmony in all areas of our life. So the chart pattern is actually showing that, this is what this solar eclipse wants us to do, to be open to change. And at times, as I was saying, we can't stay positive all the time, but we shouldn't stay low all the time. We oscillate between, our emotions, but we want to try and always attempt to be somewhere in the middle of the highs and lows, not being too high and not being too low. And as I said, when you suffer with mental health issues and personality disorders and life be lifing and all of that, it can be hard. But as someone who's had my own struggles, I know it can be done. It takes time. A lot of the time we fail because we try to push ourselves so quick. And I have Uranus, sextile Mars in my natal chart. So you ask any astrologer, that's some hard energy to manage. This is why I do Tai Chi personally, because that helps me manage that need to be like, no, and that's why you may notice I talk fast. I do try to slow myself down so you can understand me, but it's all a work in progress. So it's all about, I'm not perfect now doing this, podcast, I'm refining. And if you've been listening to me from the beginning, you can see how I change. So it's about, sometimes we just have to throw ourselves into the deep end. Also, at the time of this new moon solar eclipse, there's a trine between Venus in Libra, Saturn in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini. So this is a grand air trine. I was just checking to make sure. No, because the last time I did solar and lunar eclipse, I got them mixed up. Like, the interpretations were the same, but I got solar mixed up with lunar in the same audio, and this confused some people. So yeah, I'm just making sure I've got everything on point. So this grand trine, as I said, Venus in Libra brings harmony and diplomacy to our relationships. Saturn in Aquarius brings a sense of responsibility and structure to our goals. And Mars in Gemini, gives us that joyful communication and learning, and gives us that push, to go out there and seek new things. Gemini's energy is known, it's very mutable, social, sort of like butterfly sort of energy, So, then we've got Saturn in Aquarius, that's fixed air energy, and then Venus in Libra, that's cardinal air energy. So This energy supports our transformation and growth, especially in how we approach our relationships, our emotions and our ambitions and goals and our intellectual goals and expression right now as well. Also, it supports us, improving our communication, especially in our relationships and in our communities and families, and working on our long-term goals. We can also, this energy because it's a lot of air energy, so it can bring a lot of clarity about what your life purpose is. You may be thinking, I don't know what I want to do in life. This energy may make you more clearer on that, but if it doesn't, as I said, sometimes you just have to start. I procrastinated, but I found a lot in my procrastination. I don't regret it. We've all got our different journeys, but just sometimes you just have to throw yourself. We're coming up to the last 2 months of the year. You may have set intentions in January for New Year's resolutions. You may not start them. You may think I'll start in 2025. No, start now. This energy is really supporting us to make self-improvements, to meticulously plan and pay attention to detail, but we just have to watch out for being too overly critical of ourselves and others and pushing ourselves too much and thinking, we can change our life in a day or week or month or year, even though it takes time. And if you keep on striving for excellence, you will get it eventually. And it just reminds you to have more self-compassion, forgiveness, understanding, love and respect, and accountability. So the moon south node, the moon and the sun and Mercury are in the stellium. So as I said earlier, it draws to our subconscious motivations that need to be addressed. So we really need to pay attention of our thoughts, because I said it all starts in our mind. It really wants us to think and observe why we do the things that we do and really analyze our behaviors and habits, spending time in solitude, rethinking or creating strategies to overcome your life problems or reach your goals. We can really gain insights right now if we, take that time out to think and just be curious about life and just be a bit more analytical and allow ourselves to understand the worlds within ourselves and around us a little bit more if we take the time to do so. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the karma of the solar eclipse new moon. So as I said, in terms of karma, it really wants us to reconnect with our inner child, and it wants us to be more authentic in our actions and relationships and embrace simplicity, as I said earlier, just being grateful for the little things in life. And it can bring to us situations right now that test our patience, our compassion and our ability to connect with others at a deeper level. So as I said, this energy really, really wants us to try and repair the world within us, between our different personality traits, our strengths and weaknesses, our good traits, our bad traits, and also within our relationships with others as well, and just to think more deeply into how we can, repair our relationships and create healthy relationships in our life as well. It also wants us to, be more curious and maintain that sense of wonder. A lot of the time, by the time we get into, especially in this world now with, the way social media and everything is and our world is, we can just be desensitized, and we can just be like, oh, I've seen it all before, I don't care. So it just, really wants us to sort of be open to seeing things with a new perspective, and past life connections. In terms of, past life memories and dreams, past lives, where you may have lifetimes where, the innocence and being curious and having a deep connection with nature, may, come up in terms of dreams or maybe nightmares, if that sounds like a nightmare to you. Lifetimes where you may have been a healer, a caretaker, caregiver, or you may have advocated for the environment, or, you may lifetimes where you paid close attention to the small details and that made a difference, just be aware of your thoughts and your dreams, and try and look for a deeper meaning without, becoming too paranoid about seeking out deeper meanings, And in the past life, some of you may have been guardians for wildlife, because the Sabian symbol is the orangutan in the zoo, or you may have been a teacher that inspired others to appreciate beauty or nature. Or you may have been like this as a child. You may have been more into, caring about the environment, you may have been more open to emphasizing with people and stuff like that, but someone may have broke your heart or take advantage, which happens to, most of us eventually, apart from those ones who are stern and like from the get-go, no, you're not, you're not messing with me, buddy. But for the majority of us, we have to learn these lessons sometimes the hard way. So yeah, pay attention to your dreams and visions at this time, as these can give insights into how you can serve yourself and others in better ways through acts of kindness, self-compassion, paying attention to your health, hygiene and overall well-being and your routine. And yeah, it's really important just to pay attention to any intuitive nudges or signs or things that people say, because, this is like, can be a subtle sort of like, Virgo energy. It's not going to be out there in your face. The wisdom that comes to it can just come to you from a simple conversation with a co-worker or something you hear in a podcast or something like that. And, exploring any past life connections can help you really understand yourself and heal yourself on that deeper level, So now I'm going to talk about the Sabian degrees and how they influence this solar eclipse. So the sun and the moon, as I said, they are in the 16th degree of Virgo. It rules the inferior vena cava, which is an important vein in our bodies, which is responsible for carrying deoxygenated blood from our lower body back to the heart. So, this reminds us of, the flow of energy and vitality within our physical body, and how important it is to pay attention to our psychological, spiritual and emotional well-being, and also, to look after our circulation of energy. So doing things, sometimes just opening and closing your hands and, sort of doing the same with your feet, scrunching your toes can help with your circulation while you're in bed, or, while you're at your desk and stuff, just to make sure that everything's flowing, you don't want to, I'm not saying you can, you just, it's good to just encourage circulation in your body, and blood flow and that. And the moon's south node is in the 13th degree of Virgo, and this degree rules the heptic arteries in the human body and has the Sabian symbology of the sorcerer's apprentice, lets loose and cast the spell and causes all hell to break loose. And when the master magician returns, he uses his wand to put everything back in its rightful place. So, as I said earlier, arteries are really important in supplying oxygenated blood in our bodies, and these heptic arteries, supply blood to our liver. And the Sabian symbology reminds us that sometimes we may unintentionally create disruption and pain in our lives. A lot of the time it's because we won't deal with our past, or we keep on reliving our past, but we keep on reliving our past because we don't deal with it. We can come to believe that we can only have toxic relationships, or we can never leave a toxic relationships and stuff like that. But this degree reminds us with, wisdom and guidance, we can change any situation and set things right. And it reminds us to be mindful of our actions and seek out guidance of experienced mentors or authorities when necessary. As I was saying earlier about delving into the psychic realms, it's much better, from my experience, personal experience, to be cautious rather than to, jump deep in and think you're, Sabrina the teenage witch or Merlin the musician, if you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Mercury's in the 18th degree of Virgo, and this falls the Eclipse, Abonimus, I've said that fairly right? In the human body, and the Sabian symbol is two girls playing with a Ouija board. So, these muscles are located in our abdomen and play a crucial role in our core stability and posture. So doing squats, right now, and doing things to look after your core can be good, but I'll talk more about the health things we can do in a while. So when we, look after this muscle, it contributes to a strong and toned midsection and great upright posture. But when we don't care for it can lead to postural issues and lower back pain and stuff like that. So metaphorically, it reminds us of the importance of inner balance and strength. And the Sabian symbology of the two girls playing with the Ouija board supports the sense of curiosity and exploration that this new moon solar eclipse in Virgo is asking us to sort of be open to, and gives us the energy to tap into hidden knowledge and communicate with the spiritual realm. And it encourages us to embrace intuitive answers and our abilities and seek answers beyond the conventional logical realms of knowledge. But as I said, it reminds us that it's important to approach, the psychic realms and these experiences with caution and using good judgment and making sure you stay grounded and that you maintain a balanced perspective and prioritize your well-being. And, really, it's really important to stay grounded as you explore the psychic realms and seek to know the deeper meanings of life, because I've seen a lot of people in some ways become highly unstable because they became, too involved with psychic things before they were ready. This is why I said it's much better to look after your psychological and emotional health before you delve deep into, some things, so you can, manage your emotions and you can be discerning and stuff. The North Node is in the 13th degree of Pisces, and this rules the plantar artery of our left foot in the human body. So a lot of symbols of our, flow and circulation, circulating, letting go of the past, bringing in the new. And at the time of this new, moon in Virgo's like the middle of the zodiac, kind of. It's the sixth sign. Some people say it's Libra being the seventh. But yeah, if we're looking at it, in the way I'm looking at it, it's the middle. So it wants us to find, it's the symbology of Virgo's balance, right? And, this degree supports us with being more empathetic and using our, intuition and getting a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. But it also, the symbology of a sword in a museum, reminds us of the need to confront past conflicts that are holding us back. So we have to, as I said, really, really go within and, look at our repeated patterns of behavior that get in the way of our development. And it reminds us to look after our feet and, our legs in general, keeping them mobile, doing exercises to, sort of like strengthen us and ground us in reality, even when we are exploring the psychic realms. And this is how we make sure we don't, get carried away with them. It reminds us to, draw on our past experience for guidance and protection, but to let go of, the pain and suffering associated to it, using that inner strength and gaining wisdom, or using the wisdom that you already got, self-reflecting and coming up with strategies how you can defend yourself against external challenges. As I said, life will always life, people will always be people. The only thing you can change is how you respond to people. So, I really, suggest that you look after yourself, look after others, don't screw people over. That's not what it's all about, but make sure that you're looking after your needs. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the fixed stars that are influential at the time of this new moon solar eclipse on the 2nd of October. So the moon and the sun are making a conjunction to diadem, which has the tagline to sacrifice yourself. The moon and the sun are making a sextile to Antares, which has the tagline success, which can become recessive. The sun and the moon are making a trine to Aldebaran, which has the tagline success through integrity. And the sun and the moon are making a square to Ahina, which has the tagline to have a mission. So the moon and the sun conjunct diadem reminds us to, be selfless in the right ways and to serve others. As I said, this whole energy and the social level wants us to repair relationships and build a sense of community, of companionship or familiarity. So, it supports that some of you may make sacrifices for the greater good or support a cause that you believe in. And what is the biggest sacrifice we can make individually for our greater good is to become the best human being we can be without waiting for the world to change. And it reminds us to have more unity within ourselves and our communities, and to come and to work with others for a common purpose, and it provides the support for us to do so. And the moon and the sunset star to Antares reminds us that we can become too excessive, so it's important to do self-care and not to get too caught up in wanting to be, get recognition and get eternal validation. It reminds us that, it's good to become intensely focused on your goals, but don't become too fixated on success. Enjoy the journey. A lot of people regret maybe not having a family or one close person. Not everybody wants children. We've all got different dreams. Just make sure what you really want. A lot in our world, it's all about, getting as much money and status as we can. And a lot of people, we see it with a lot of stars, we say, how can they not be happy? They've got all this money. It's because money doesn't buy happiness. Happiness comes from within. Like, that is the truth. No matter how that may sound silly and stuff, you can see lots of lottery people, win the lottery and lose money because it is the happiness, is not the money, and if we're a reckless person, having more money is not going to make us less reckless unless we take the steps to look at the root causes that make us reckless, or any other, toxic behaviour to you that stops you from being the best you. So, it wants us to find a balance between ambition and being mindful to avoid, annoying other people, being ruthless with other people, because a lot of the time they say, make sure, smile on the way up, but make sure you smile on the way down, because a lot of people, when they're up and going up, they can they can forget people and stuff like that. So the moon's trying to the sun wants us to be more honest, have more ethics, and be just more centered in ourselves, and have a strong sense of integrity in our actions, doing the right thing when no one else is in the room, that sort of thing. But the square between the moon and the sun with Ahina, although it can make us, wake up to the fact that we may need to change things, but it can make us too impatient when we're trying to change these things. But it supports us in confronting our obstacles and our challenges, and it pushes us and supports us to step out of our comfort zone and take courageous, bold actions towards reaching our goals. Ultimately, these fixed stars call for us to, have integrity as we go about our lives, and especially when we're achieving things, and motivation, drive, and reminds us to find our sense of purpose and reflect on our values and goals and responsibilities. And if we do this, we can make the best use of these energies. As I was writing this, although this is getting longer now, but this is me, I got some intuitive insight, and I wanted to look deeper at Saturn in the 21st degree of Aquarius, and its tagline, the Sabian and degree, is a woman disappointed and disillusioned. Saturn is in the 11th house, and I think earlier I said it was in the 10th, but no, Pluto is the one what's in the 10th house, and Mars is in the 3rd house, and Saturn's in the 11th, but we move. And, Saturn is making an opposition to trans-Pluto, so let's call it Pluto's little sister, which is in the 11th degree of Leo and is in the 5th house, and that has the tagline, children on a swing on a huge oak tree. So Saturn in astrology, as I said, symbolises restriction and structure, and it's, facing off against trans-Pluto, and this represents transformation and empowerment, so we can feel a sort of push and pull between our traditional beliefs and our self-realisation. And, the tagline that Saturn's in, a woman disappointed and disillusioned, reminds us that there may be struggles and lessons surrounding our relationships and friendships at this time. And It wants us and reminds us once again to address our deep-seated fears and insecurities and power dynamics in our social circles. Do you give your power away? Do you demand? Do you bully your friends? Do you control others? Why do you do this? If you let other people bully you and walk over you, why do you do this? It wants us to confront our vulnerabilities and shadows, aspects of ourselves, our dark traits, and look at them so that we can, heal them, manage them, and doing this can make us feel empowered in the right way. Our self-empowerment should come from our sense of self from within, not from, taking power from others or allowing others to take power from us, sort of thing. Really asking us to take a discerning look, being real about how we contribute to our communities and families and relationships, or where we may take too much. Is there equal balance of give and receiving in our relationships? It encourages us to reflect on the ways in which we can serve others with more humility and attention to detail, and how we can respect other people's boundaries if we overstep them, and how we can stand up for ourselves if we let other people take advantage of us. Okay, so now I'm just going to talk a bit more how this solar eclipse new moon affects our family, friendship, co-worker, committed, hookup, self-partnered, and those who are single as well. So in terms of our family bonds, if we use this energy effectively, it can strengthen bonds, it can resolve conflict, and we can find more harmony, and we can understand each other's needs and perspectives more readily in our family relationships. It can help us heal and mend, long-standing broken connections. It's an opportunity for us to come together and support each other and work towards creating a more loving and sort of cohesive, family environment that works together. Friendships, as I said, it wants us to be more honest in them and navigate through conflicts with open mind, and to, think about our compatibility and our shared values in our relationships. Sometimes we outgrow friendships. Sometimes we just need to change the dynamics in there. Some of you may feel inspired to seek out new friends that align with your, the path you're on right now. And, as I said, letting go of the old, but try and do this in the best way possible. And if things end in a way that you don't like, forgive yourself and forgive the others involved, and just be gentle with yourself as you move on. In terms of co-workers, relationships, there can be tensions and conflicts in work relationships because people want to do things their own way. So it's important to be open with your communication, respect other people's ideas, and approaches to doing things, trying to find a middle ground to resolve the disagreements that can come up right now. Find middle ground, that's the key word here. And by working with others, this can help you, create deeper bonds. For some of you, you may, strike up new collaborations and partnerships, maybe create content with someone else, start up a business with someone else, something like that. So it's a great energy for proactive action and creating positive change in co-worker relationships, and we can just become more productive with working with others. In terms of committed relationships, it wants us to, work through the challenges that come up in our intimate relationships and work towards repairing and strengthening our relationships. In terms of hookup relationships, you may want more sort of like depth to them. You may not want to be in superficial things right about now. Virgo energy is all about effectiveness and being productive. You may decide that, your hookup relationship is not productive, or you may seek out a more productive casual relationship where you come together in terms of, you have shared values. Maybe before you didn't care what the other person did. It was all about the physical, but you may seek more depth in your hookup relationships right now. Yeah. So it wants us to make long-term conscious choices that align with your real emotional, psychological, spiritual, even financial and physical needs, and, are in alignment with your long-term goals. It's no point in having a casual relationships that is reckless and stop you from, paying your bills and all the rest of it, because this is going to disrupt your long-term plans. So just having more of a strategy in your hookup relationships right now. In terms of self partnerships and singles, this is a great time to explore your personal growth and to strengthen the relationship that you have with yourself, and, you know, creating or deepening your sense of self-love and self-care and understanding and forgiveness. Singles can use this energy to embrace your independence, focus on your personal goals and gain more clarity on what you truly want in a future relationship, you know. And just, you know, taking time out to have some fun, but in practical ways where you don't overindulge. So now I'm just going to finish up by talking about the holistic, psychological, spiritual and emotional rituals that we can do at the time of the South Node solar eclipse in Virgo on the 2nd of October. So yeah. Okay, so psychologically, it's an opportunity to introspect and identify any limiting beliefs or thought patterns that are holding you back. So journaling, meditation or therapy or self-help, you know, dancing, screaming, whatever, listening to music, you know, that can help you get in touch with your inner psychology and your subconscious mind and bring the issues that you need to be aware of to light so you can heal them and understand them. Spiritually, you know, we can connect with our inner self through Tai Chi, mindfulness, yoga, breathwork, meditation as well. Doing the work to let go of attachments to the old and embracing new beginnings. Rituals such as lighting candles, setting intentions, and creating a sacred space for reflection and connection. Emotionally, we can allow ourselves to feel and process any buried emotions that come up at this time, and engage in activities that nurture your emotional well-being, such as spending time with loved ones, practicing self-care, or seeking support from a therapist or healer. So, for example, you could start your day with a grounding meditation to center yourself and set intentions for this eclipse, and then you can follow this with a cleansing ritual like smudging your space with sage or any other herbs or incense of choice, taking a purifying bath or shower, going out in the sea or by a river, walking barefoot, infusing essential oils in the oil burner, or, you know, using oils or whatever that are safe for your skin in a bath, or, you know. And as you go about your day, you know, stay mindful of your thoughts and emotions and gently release anything that no longer serves you. In the evening, you can journal about your experiences and insights that you've gained during the eclipse, and express gratitude for the opportunity to grow and evolve. And before going to bed, you can engage in some self-care practices such as gentle yoga, listening to calming music, doing some breath work, meditation there, gently stroking your arms, your ears and your hands and your feet. You know, this can be really serving, massaging your head. Remember to be gentle with yourself at this time and trust in your process of transformation and renewal, and embrace this opportunity to release old patterns and possibilities, and align with your truest self, and trust that you have strength and resilience to sort of like navigate this period of change with grace and wisdom. So now I'm just going to run through some questions that you can ask yourself at the time of this solar eclipse in Virgo. You could ask yourself, how can I let go of perfectionism and embrace my imperfections? Why do I run away from dealing with my emotions? Do I feel I'm too weak? Because a lot of time we think that we're weak. I thought, you know, if I start, which means stopping, you know, looking at these emotions, it would be so much to deal with the past fully that I would never be able to get back up again. But I've actually become better from the process. It did take longer than what I thought. But as I said, we've all got different time scales. Some of you may do it in 3 years, some of you 7, some of you 13, some of you 20 years, you know. This is why I say it's a lifelong process. But the more you do it day by day, you'll see the results, and this will spur you on. If you need to, you know, do visuals. So right now, for each day I do my morning routine, I put a line, you know, there's line and you strike out with 5 and it's a visual. And this is helping me actually to stay on track. I'm 30 days in and going. So yeah, so just finding, you know, techniques that help you, because this, you know, eclipse highlight areas in our life where we've been, striving for unattainable standards. Sometimes we're harsh on ourselves. Sometimes I have to remind myself there's only 24 hours in the day, and I need to sleep 8 of them, and then I need to, do meditation and stuff maybe for 2 to 3 and exercise for 2 to 3. So we just have to be realistic about our time scales, and then work for 8 hours a day. So you just have to be realistic and try and plan your days in such a way. Yeah, I hate routines, but it's when you're consistent, build consistency in your life, it makes you less anxious, which may seem paradoxical, but it really does. Routine really can help. Looking at the things that cause you stress and dissatisfaction, and thinking about how you can become more compassionate with yourself, asking yourself, are you compassionate with yourself and other people? If not, why not? Asking yourself what patterns or habits or relationships no longer serve your highest good, what stops you from letting go of them, what steps would you need to take to let go of them, because I know some of you may be in abusive or coercive situations, and it may not be so easy for you to leave a toxic relationship, so you may have to research and look out for organisations and doing it in a discreet way, so planning your exit strategy. And this is not about being deceptive or manipulative, but sometimes because of the situations we can find ourselves in, we do have to sort of use some tactics. But if you're not in a coercive relationship, or if your partner's not going to turn abusive, but because they say leaving a toxic relationship is the most dangerous time. So I want everyone to be safe when they're thinking about letting go of people and situations, and doing the right research. So also, thinking about the negative behaviours and thought patterns that are holding you back, and question yourself, why do you believe in these beliefs? A lot of the time it's because people told us we're not good enough, or no one will ever love us, or we can never do the things that we want to do. So by acknowledging, our truths and looking at our shadow aspects, we can work towards transformation and growth. We can ask ourselves how we can create more balance in our lives and more harmony, and asking this question can help you realign your priorities and focus on what truly matters in your life, because this energy wants us to pay attention to the details of our daily routines, looking for ways to improve our overall well-being and our lifestyle. So really getting real on is our career fulfilling us? Is our sense of self based on our own self-reflection, or what other people told us to do? What self-care do you do already? Is it toxic self-care? Some people say, I'm, drinking because it's self-care, taking drugs because it's self-care. Well, it's toxic to your body. We can't, eventually something will give, so we have to think and find healthy ways to look after ourselves. And this is never about judgment. As I said, it's all about finding your level. I'm not against drugs, I'm not against alcohol. What I am for is using all the things that we like to indulge in healthy ways. You can ask yourself what areas of your life that you need to declutter and simplify, and this can lead to a clearer path. And just thinking about the things you need to let go of, whether it be material possessions, emotional baggage, toxic relationships, and just thinking of all the ways you can create a space in your life for new opportunities and growth. So all in all, this solar eclipse new moon in the 16th degree of Virgo holds potential for significant shifts in our financial areas of our life, on our practical day-to-day areas, our social dynamics, our relationships, our relationship with ourselves. We can improve that as well. It really wants us to focus on, our own children, or our inner child, and it, sheds light on the importance of community in our lives, even if it's building a community with all the different sides of your own personality, because some of you will be like, I don't have friends and family, there's always things, as I said, this new moon wants us to think about a different perspectives and reframe our thinking, and a lot of the time, a lot of people in the world are crazy right now, and we can look at the world easily with all the crazy things that we see in the news and in, everywhere, to give up on life. But, there's still good within you and within people and then within the world. It's just all about learning to trust yourself, so you can just learn to spot toxicity from a mile off, sort of thinking there. So it just wants us to reflect on the areas of our life that require healing, and wants us to work on our self-improvement, love and inner growth, and it wants us to strive for more sort of like perfection without being perfectionistic, which may sound like a paradox, but being more productive and bringing more consistency into your life, but also be gentle and realistic with yourself and others in the process. So yeah, thanks for listening. If you like this, just please, say it wherever you're listening to it. I'm Amani, I'm your holistic karmic astrologer, and thanks a lot for listening to me. Take care and see you next time.